What if the key to your smartphone, your electric car, or even the missiles defending your country was controlled by a single nation, and that nation decided to turn off the tap? Sounds like a sci-fi thriller, right? But in 2025, this is reality. China holds the world's supply of rare earth elements in a chokehold, and they're wielding it like a geopolitical missile aimed at the heart of the US and Europe. This isn't just about minerals, it's about power, control, and the future of the global economy. Buckle up as we dive into the story of how 17 obscure elements are reshaping the world, and why you should care. The hidden treasure that powers our world. Let's set the stage. Picture a small, dusty mine in Inner Mongolia, where workers unearth a resource more valuable than gold. These are rare earth elements, 17 metals with tongue-twisting names like neodymium, dysprosium, and europium. They're not rare in the ground, but they're a nightmare to extract and refine. Why? The process is costly, toxic, and takes years to scale. Yet, these metals are the lifeblood of modern life. Your Tesla's battery? Powered by neodymium magnets. The F-35 fighter jet sensors? Built with samarium. Wind turbines, MRI machines, even the screen you're watching this on, all rely on rare earths. In 2025, the global demand for these metals is skyrocketing. The green energy revolution needs them for electric vehicles and renewables. Defense contractors need them for precision-guided missiles. And big tech? They're guzzling rare earths for AI servers and 5G networks. But here's the twist: China doesn't just mine 60% of the world's rare earths, it controls 92% of the refining process. That means even if the US or Australia digs up these metals, they're likely shipped to China to be turned into usable materials. Europe? A staggering 98% of its rare earth magnets come from Chinese refineries. This isn't just a supply chain, it's a stranglehold. And China knows it. The weaponization begins. Let's travel back to 2010. Japan and China get into a spat over a tiny island chain in the East China Sea. China's response? They quietly cut off rare earth exports to Japan. Prices spiked globally. Factories stalled. Japan's tech giant scrambled. It was a wake-up call, a glimpse of China's power to weaponize these metals. Fast forward to 2025, and that glimpse has become a full-blown strategy. The story picks up in April 2025. The US, under a second Trump administration, slaps new tariffs on Chinese goods, targeting everything from semiconductors to solar panels. Europe follows with its own restrictions, citing national security. China's countermove is surgical. They announce export controls on 7 rare earth elements critical for magnets and high-tech manufacturing: neodymium, praseodymium, and others. By October, they escalate with announcement number 61 from their Ministry of Commerce, adding 5 more elements to the list: holmium, erbium, thulium, europium, and ytterbium. Now, 12 of the 17 rare earths face export licenses, with strict scrutiny on any shipments to companies tied to foreign militaries. The message is clear: if you mess with China's tech sector, like Huawei or chip exports, they'll hit you where it hurts. And it's working. Spot prices for neodymium oxide have surged 70% since April. Dysprosium, vital for EV motors, is up 50%. The S&P 500 took a 2.3% hit in a single day after the October announcement, with automakers like Ford and GM warning of production delays. Economist Jeremy Siegel called it a scandal that the US lacks a strategic rare earth reserve. But this isn't just about dollars and cents. It's personal. Imagine a factory worker in Michigan, laid off because GM can't get the magnets for its EV line. Or a German engineer watching her company's wind turbine project stall because europium supplies dried up. China's strategy isn't just economic, it's a calculated move to exploit the West's dependence, the fallout and the fight back. The impact is seismic. Let's break it down. In the US, the Pentagon is sounding alarms. Rare earths are in everything from Tomahawk missiles to Virginia-class submarines. China's new rules explicitly block exports to firms with military ties, and the Pentagon estimates that 60% of its rare earth supply chain runs through Chinese refineries. A single F-35 jet needs 920 pounds of rare earth materials. Without them, America's air superiority is at risk. Europe's in a similar bind. The EU's green agenda, aiming for 45% renewable energy by 2030, relies on rare earth magnets for wind turbines and EV motors. But with China's restrictions, German automakers like Volkswagen and BMW face production halts. The European Automobile Suppliers Association reports that 15% of its members' plants are at risk of temporary closures. Ursula von der Leyen, EU Commission President, didn't mince words: China is weaponizing critical materials to hold our economies hostage. The economic ripple is global. Rare earth price spikes are inflating costs across industries. A single MRI machine, needing europium for its phosphors, now costs hospitals 20% more. In the US, Ford stock dropped 8% in a week as supply chain fears mounted. Globally, clean energy projects are delayed, threatening climate goals. It's a paradox, the metals needed to save the planet are being used to hold it ransom. But the West isn't sitting still. Here's where the story gets hopeful, or at least scrappy. The US is pouring money into alternatives. MP Materials, a California-based miner, is set to produce rare earth magnets domestically by late 2025, but it's a drop in the bucket, 1% of China's output. The Pentagon is funding new mines in Texas and partnerships with Australia's Linus Corporation, which mines 20% of the world's rare earths but still relies on Chinese refining. Europe's response is bolder. The EU launched the Critical Raw Materials Act in 2025, aiming to diversify supply chains by 2030. They're eyeing deals in Africa, Namibia's got potential, and Greenland, where deposits are promising but years from production. The G7, meanwhile, rolled out a critical minerals action plan in June, pooling resources to counter China's dominance. Think of it as a global alliance racing against time, the stakes and the future. So, where does this leave us? China's rare earth gambit is a masterclass in leverage. By controlling these metals, they're not just hiking prices, they're forcing the US and Europe to rethink their trade policies. Trump's team is pushing for a deal at a potential summit with Xi Jinping in South Korea this month, but China's holding firm, demanding relief from chip bans and tariffs. It's a high-stakes poker game, and the West is playing catch-up. The bigger question is, can the West break free? Experts say it'll take a decade to build independent supply chains. Mining is only half the battle, refining is the real bottleneck, and China's 30-year head start is daunting. If tensions escalate, say, over Taiwan or tech bans, China could tighten the screws further, triggering a supply shock worse than the 1973 oil crisis. Yet, there's a silver lining. This crisis is forcing innovation. Startups in Canada and Sweden are testing eco-friendly refining methods. The US is exploring recycling rare earths from old electronics, potentially recovering 10% of its needs by 2030. And geopolitical alliances are strengthening, think US, EU, and Australia teaming up to outmaneuver China's monopoly. This is more than a story about rocks. It's about who controls the future, your car, your phone, your country's security. China's rare earth weapon is a wake-up call, exposing how fragile our globalized world is. The US and Europe are fighting back, but the road is long, and the clock is ticking. What's your take? Should the US double down on tariffs and risk escalation, or negotiate to keep the supply flowing? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and if you want to stay ahead of the economic battles shaping our world, hit that subscribe button. Next time, we'll explore how to invest in the rare earth boom, and who's profiting from this chaos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.